All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive with me. And
Hi, everyone.
we have an incredible story for you today. It's just really heartwarming and fascinating. And it all comes down to this unlikely friendship
Yes.
that blossoms in the final days of World War II.
Wow. Yeah.
So we're talking like March 1945, just utter chaos in Germany. You know, the cities are bombed out. People are just struggling to survive. And in the middle of all of this, you have this German boy named Siegfried Laier and an American GI named Alexander.
Yeah, what a pair, right?
Yeah, what a pair. And they formed this bond despite, everything going on around them.
And I think it's so interesting, too, because, this is such a great example of how people find a way to connect, even when everything is telling them not to, right?
Right, like war is all about dividing us, and this is like the opposite of that.
Absolutely.
So to kind of set the scene a little bit, Siegfried's family, they had to walk like 125 miles to seek refuge with relatives in this town called Moerlenbach. And this is just one example of the displacement that was happening all across Germany at that time.
Yeah, millions of people were on the move just trying to find safety, food, and shelter. It was really a chaotic time.
Absolutely. And can you imagine being Siegfried, who's just 4 years old at the time?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, to be a child experiencing that level of upheaval, I can't even imagine.
Right. Just the fear and uncertainty.
Yeah. And not fully comprehending what's going on, why your life has been turned upside down like that.
And then into this picture walks Alexander, this this American GI.
Yeah.
And it would be totally understandable if there was, hostility or suspicion on either side.
Oh, absolutely. Given the circumstances, they're supposed to be enemies.
Right.
But instead what we see is compassion,
Yeah.
particularly from Alexander towards Siegfried. And it just makes you wonder what drew them together despite all of their differences.
Well, I think it just speaks to the, that basic human need for connection that we all have.
Yeah.
It's like they couldn't even speak each other's language,
Right.
but they found ways to communicate through gestures, through those shared experiences.
It's that simple act of acknowledging each other's humanity that I find so powerful,
It really is. And it wasn't just like a friendly face or a hello.
He went above and beyond.
He went above and beyond. Like he brought Siegfried food.
When it was really scarce.
Yeah, he played with him. He made him feel safe. And he even took Siegfried on patrols in his Jeep,
Imagine that.
which like the other kids were so jealous.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
It's such a small detail, but it speaks volumes about their relationship.
Yeah, for Siegfried in that moment, Alexander wasn't just a soldier. He was a protector, a friend, almost like a surrogate father figure in a way.
Absolutely. And the impact of that kindness,
Oh, yeah.
it stayed with Siegfried his whole life.
That's incredible.
He's often said that he wishes he could help others the way Alexander helped him.
Wow, that's powerful.
Do you think this experience maybe like steered him toward a particular path in life, or how do you think it affected him?
We don't have a lot of details about Siegfried's life after the war, but it's not hard to imagine how such a, formative experience at such a young age would shape his values and his worldview.
Well,
I think it speaks to that ripple effect of compassion.
yeah.
How one act of kindness can inspire countless others.
And so that brings us to the present day.
Okay.
Siegfried is still searching for Alexander, armed with just a photograph and a date. What are the chances of actually finding someone after all these years?
Well, it's definitely a long shot, but it's not impossible.
Really?
There are organizations, that are dedicated to reuniting families who have been separated by war, and there are online databases and resources that can provide leads.
Yeah.
What really strikes me, though, is Siegfried's unwavering determination. After all this time, he clearly hasn't forgotten the impact Alexander had on him.
It just makes you think, like, what would that reunion be like?
Oh, gosh, I can't even imagine.
If it happened?
It would be so emotional.
Like, what would they say to each other after all this time?
Yeah, how do you even begin to express that kind of gratitude and the impact that someone had on your life so long ago?
Yeah, and what would you ask them?
Oh, gosh, so many questions.
I don't even know where I would begin.
Yeah, just to hear their perspectives on that time and how they remember it and how it shaped their lives.
And Alexander's perspective, too.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to hear why he chose to show kindness in that moment.
Right.
What motivated him to go above and beyond for this little boy in the midst of war.
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me. It's like, this is not just a story about the war. This is a story about human connection.
Exactly.
It's about those moments of compassion that can blossom even in the darkest of times.
Yeah, and the fact that Siegfried is still searching after all these years, I think that's the most powerful message of all.
Absolutely.
It reminds us that even the smallest acts of kindness can leave a lasting mark on our lives, shape who we become, and how we interact with the world.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes you stop and think about the choices we make every day and how we can extend that same kindness to others.
Especially to those who are different from us.
Exactly. And so, as we wrap up this episode, I just want to leave you with this question, like, what will you take away from this story?
That's a good question.
And how can you apply it to your own life?
Yeah, how can we all be a little bit more like Alexander?
That's all the time we have for today, but we'll be back with another deep dive soon.
See you next time, everyone.
Bye.